Hi, everybody. I hope you can see me and hear me as well. So I will, just get right into the presentation that I have ready for you. Again, just detailing the opportunities that we have for undergraduate students, as well as going over the general process of applying to undergraduate institutions in Germany. Yeah, and let's just get started now. I hope you can all see that. Maybe I'll zoom out a little bit. There we go. I've already been introduced extremely well by the colleagues at the Goethe-Institut, but I'll again just briefly go over what we do at the DAAD in New York. So we essentially have scholarships and grants for all disciplines at all academic stages for students, researchers, and faculty members in North America who would like to spend some time in Germany. We provide information and counseling about studying and research in Germany, as well as generally support German studies in the United States and Canada and the internationalization of campuses in Germany. This is just an overview of the network that we have. So of course I'm located in the office in New York, but we also have two information centers, one in San Francisco and one in Toronto, that help us on the West Coast and in Canada respectively, as well as all of the other information centers and regional offices that we have across the world to help students make their way over to Germany and for students in Germany to make their way everywhere else in the world. So I imagine that I won't have to push too hard on the why study in Germany since you are all here attending this presentation, but nonetheless, I think I'll just go over a few points about why studying in Germany is a good idea. So first of all, there's a very high quality of education found at German universities. The German government puts a lot of money into universities, into research institutions, into generally supporting the student body, including for international students, that at a very low cost for the students that are attending universities. So of course, most German public institutions do not have a tuition. You generally will just pay a few €100 as a semester fee. And of course, the cost of living in general is a little bit lower than in the United States, particularly if you're comparing cities like New York with the cities that you might be attending university in Germany in. Studying in Germany will provide you a look into the careers and opportunities that are available for you both in Germany and in the United States. So of course, being in Germany will allow you to build different networks there. And when you come back to the United States, having the skills that you've acquired during your time abroad will help you in your further career and academic opportunities in the United States. As for language and culture, there's no better way to learn a language and experience a culture than actually being in the country. And lastly, again, going back to building those different networks, in Germany, you'll be making new friends, making new contacts in Germany that you can either develop further if you choose to stay in Germany or bring back with you to the United States. Again, just hammering in that free tuition point. So studying in Germany is quite a bit less expensive than studying in the United States might be. And this will just give you an overview of what those fees are, as well as additional funding opportunities that are available for you. As for the German higher education system in general, it is similar to the United States in that there is typically this bachelor's and master's setup. There are different types of higher education institutions. First, we have the universities, which typically provide up to PhD program level education, to be compared to the universities of applied sciences or the Fachhochschulen, which typically have a more practice-oriented bachelor's and master's program. So the universities focus more on theory, and the Fachhochschulen or the universities of applied sciences tend to have a hands-on component attached to them. There are also research institutions that exist outside of the university setup, and those are just a few examples of those institutions where you might consider doing research or a PhD. So I'm going to be going over how to get into German universities if you decide to pursue an entire undergraduate or graduate degree program in Germany. This will just be a general overview. I'll try to explain it in a very clear and concise way, but of course for your individual situations you might contact us for specific information on your case. So there are general requirements to get into the university setup in Germany, and then subject-specific requirements that are essentially divided into getting into the social sciences fields and getting into the STEM fields. So this is just the 4 steps that I'm going to be discussing regarding the requirements. So first, the visa and residence permit, then the university entrance qualifications, where things get a little bit more complicated, German language skills, and then lastly the test AS, or the test for international students who would like to enter German universities. So all of the requirements are listed on our website, on the DAAD.de website, as well as Anabin, which is a website or an information portal for international students with the international secondary school education who would like to enter a German university. But again, I'm going to be going over this with you now. So for the visa and residence permit, you will want to check with your local German consulates for specific information on that. All of the information can currently be found on the website that you see on the page here. And again, you will have to contact your local German consulate for specific steps on setting up an appointment and the documentation that you'll need to bring with you. One thing to keep in mind is that you will have to provide some sort of proof of financial resources for your time in Germany. And again, the specific amounts and information can be found on the website listed there. Now, for the university entrance qualifications, essentially you will need a successful high school diploma that includes academic units or essentially years for grades 9 to 12. And that will get you kind of the initial step. Unfortunately, the SATs and ACTs are no longer being accepted for direct admission to German universities. So they're no longer being considered at all as part of the application process. What you would need for direct entrance are one of 3 things. So AP tests. So again, these are subject specific for the social sciences requirements. You need 4 AP exams with a grade of 3 or above that are related to those fields. And then for the STEM field, again, it's also 4 AP exams with a 3 or above in the specific areas, in specific STEM field areas. For more specific information on that, definitely email us. It's a little bit complicated and a little bit difficult to explain in a short presentation, but we have the information available. And we are happy to share that information with you. So either the AP test, or if you've completed 2 years at an undergraduate institution in the United States, you will also be eligible for direct admission to an undergraduate program in Germany in a related area. And then the third thing is an associate's degree, which is also essentially 2 years of higher education in the United States. If you do not have one of these 3 criteria met, you will have to attend a Studienkolleg or a preparatory program. It's typically a 1-year preparatory program at the German university or associated with the German university you'd like to attend, and you'll have to take a test at the end in order to get into the bachelor's program that you'd like to get into. So this just goes into a little bit more detail of the Studienkolleg. Again, it's just a 1-year foundation course. You should definitely be in contact with the international offices at the undergraduate institutions that you'd like to attend. Most universities will have a Studienkolleg at that university. So, of course, once you attend that Studienkolleg, pass the test at the end, you'll be able to enter a bachelor's degree program at that university. However, some universities have a Studienkolleg that's at a partner university, or that's a state Studienkolleg that you would have to attend in order to be able to get into an undergraduate degree program. Now, for German language skills, there are several tests that are recognized as meeting that criteria. Again, we highly recommend that you are in contact with the international offices at the universities that you'd like to attend, because, for example, if you want to have an undergraduate degree program that's in English in Germany, then you may not need to have any German language skills. In fact, you might need to show that you have adequate English language skills for the program. So again, these are just the tests that are recognized as fulfilling that German language requirement, or generally fulfilling that German language requirement for entrance into universities. The tests can be taken in the United States for the most part, but you should definitely check what the testing centers are for each of those tests, where they're being held, etc. Some of them are only held once or twice a year, so that's definitely something that you want to do research on in advance. And lastly, the test AS, or the Test for Academic Studies for International Students. This is a test that is not required by all German universities, but some of them do require it. I might compare it to the SATs, for example, but it's, yeah, except it's for German university entrance qualifications. Again, I keep on saying this, but I do want to emphasize that you should be in contact with international offices at the universities that you're interested in attending. They'll be able to tell you whether or not they require the test AS, and essentially it's a test that you can take in either English or German. You should just take it in the language that you feel the most comfortable in, and then you receive a score at the end that will rank you vis-a-vis other international students. Okay, so this is just the general application process. So again, that number one point I have, make sure you're in contact with the international offices at potential universities that you'd like to attend. Most universities will require that you apply via Uni-Assist, which is the website that international students with international secondary high school diplomas go through. But not all universities require this, so some of them are required that you apply directly to them. The deadlines for international students might be a little bit earlier than for students that are in Germany already. So just keep in mind that it's typically in the spring that you want to be applying, but you should have all of your application documents together beforehand, and again, be in contact with the international offices to ensure that you have everything that you need. So this kind of goes into what I was saying before. July 2019 is typically the cutoff deadline for all universities. So by this time, you'll want to have already applied to the universities that you'd like to attend. In August, you would hear back from the universities. In September, you would move to Germany, and then in October, you would start the program that you want to start. So I'm just going to go over some of the databases that we have for selecting the right program or school. There are a lot of resources out there for you, and again, feel free to contact our office, and we'd be happy to provide you with some information on selecting the right school if you'd like to complete your entire degree in Germany. So there are several databases that have all of the programs that are taught at German universities, including those that are in English. And one other thing that I'd like to point out is the university ranking database. So that is essentially, you input information about what you are looking for your university experience in Germany, and it will spit out a list of universities that meet the criteria that you're looking for. And it's a really good way to just narrow in on the universities that you would like to be considering and applying to. So now I'll just be discussing the opportunities that we at the DAAD have for you. So unfortunately, we do not have a program that is for an entire undergraduate degree program in Germany, we're happy to provide you with information, databases, other funding databases to see if there are other ways that you can fund your undergraduate experience. But if you decide that you would like to do your undergraduate in the United States but still want to make your way over to Germany somehow, we can definitely help you out with that. So we provide funding for different study abroad opportunities, internships, language courses. We have something for someone in every field. For a lot of our programs, you don't even have to have a high level of German language skills, even though, of course, that is advantageous for you in the end. For our longer term programs, we provide a monthly stipend. For our shorter term programs, it's typically a lump sum. And we're typically providing health insurance as well as a travel stipend to cover that transatlantic flight. And then you'll have access to our alumni network. So in the US, we have a pretty big alumni network. And we try to host as many events as we can to bring people together. So it's a good way to get into a nice German-American network once you're back in the United States. So these are the programs that I'm going to go over today. And some of the deadlines have already passed or are coming up very rapidly, but these are definitely opportunities to keep in mind for next year or for the years to come. So the first opportunity we have is an internship at the Bundestag, or the German government. This program does require a high level of German because you will be working very closely with your team in the Bundestag. But of course, it's two months of hands-on experience with a certain section in the German parliament. It's for advanced undergraduate or graduate students that are typically in the political or social sciences fields. You get a monthly salary, and we provide assistance with health insurance and housing. That deadline is September 15th, so it has passed, but again, definitely something to keep in mind for upcoming years. We have a German Studies Research Grant. That's for students that are at the undergraduate, master's, or PhD level. Typically, people use the German Studies Research Grant if they're doing some type of thesis that's related to German studies or German history, or even German architecture. The field is pretty wide. It just has to have something to do with Germany and German studies. You do have to be a German major or minor or be involved with the German department at your university, and your university does need to provide a nomination for you. This is our only program where we need a nomination from your university specifically. And again, that's a lump sum grant for up to 2 months to offset the costs of conducting research in Germany. That deadline is today, actually. So if you are in the midst of getting together your application, you have some time, but not a lot of time. So make sure you get that in as soon as possible. We also have a study scholarship. That's for students who'd like to complete a graduate degree program or a master's degree in Germany. So we can cover you for up to 2 years of a graduate degree program in Germany. You do not need to know any German if the course of your degree program is English, for example. You only need as much German as you would need to complete the master's program that you're interested in Germany. So typically students will apply as early as their senior year so that they can start the degree the next year. So for example, this upcoming deadline is November 4th, 2019, and that's for degree programs that begin in the winter semester 2020. So students would typically be attending their programs starting October of 2020. We do include a monthly stipend on top of the fact that, again, German universities typically do not have any, they don't have any tuition fees, and you're just paying that semester fee. We also provide health insurance, that travel stipend, and a one-off study allowance when you're beginning your master's degree program. Again, typically people apply for the year before they attend, but let's say you've already gotten into a university program and you're going to be attending this October, or you've already started, you can apply for funding for your second year, or the second year of your master's degree program. We also have separate scholarships for arts artists and musicians. So all of those deadlines are listed there. The reason that those deadlines are a little bit different is because you have to submit proof of your work. So for example, recordings or videos of your performances, and they have to be evaluated by our office in Germany. But in general, the same stipulations apply. We can cover you for up to 2 years. You get that same monthly stipend, health insurance, travel subsidy, and study allowance. So it's essentially the same, but the deadlines are different. We have a university summer course grant that is for, as the name suggests, summer courses that you would attend in Germany. A lot of them are language courses, but for the higher levels, so for example, B2+, there are also subject-specific courses. You do need to have an A1 level of German, but that's the most basic level of German above not knowing any German, so I'm confident that most of you will be able to meet that requirement. Most of the courses are 3 to 4 weeks in duration, and again, we provide a scholarship that helps to cover the tuition, room and board, and then we provide health insurance, and again, that travel stipend for the transatlantic flight. And we also have an internship program for STEM students specifically. So again, this is another summer program, so it won't interrupt the undergraduate degree program that you're doing in the United States. This is an extremely popular opportunity that we have because undergraduate students are able to work directly with the German doctoral students at research institutions and universities across Germany. No German is required. All of the research is conducted in English. And you'll have the opportunity, again, to have a practical experience very early in your career with a doctoral student. We do, of course, have that same, we have a monthly stipend that we provide, as well as housing assistance, and then health insurance and a travel stipend. So we have, actually, I have the numbers, the most recent numbers for last year. We had about 1,900 applications, and we placed about 300 interns. So that's about a 15% acceptance rate. So the odds are still very good for that. And lastly, I'd just like to go over some tips that I have. I don't know if any of you were in the room for the previous presentation, but I imagine that you'll hear a lot of similarities among organizations and funding organizations and other institutions regarding applications. So my number one tip is be on time when you're submitting your application. So most of our applications go through our portal that's run out of our office in Germany. Once the portal closes, it is not possible at all to get your application submitted. So definitely do not wait until the last minute, because that's of course when all of the technology issues happen and things aren't uploading. So please submit your application as early as possible. And then as far as your other application documents go, for your letter of purpose, for example, or your letter of motivation, sometimes it'll have different names for our different programs. It's very important that you explain why you want to go to Germany, why it's important for you and your academic or professional career, what your goals are, why you need to be there for that program, and how beneficial it is for you. Because if you can't convince us that you want to be in Germany, then we're probably less likely to give you money for it. And then other than that, make sure that you have a really good referee. So some of our programs require that you have a letter of reference. The reference form is in a short answer format. So it's about 10 short answer questions. Make sure you have a referee that can fill the space and give details on you, your work, or research or classes that you've taken, and how qualified you are for the program. So that is actually all that I have for you guys today. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have right now. Or yeah, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat box, or I can answer some of the questions that I see in the chat box right now.
First of all, thank you so much, Jessica, from me, Steffi, for this interesting presentation and all the opportunities you offer. And I think there was this one question that Kirsten posed that could you go back to the Studienkolleg and just say real quick what the language requirements for that was?
Sure. So the language requirements are typically B1, B2 for the Studienkolleg. Again, you'll want to check with the university or with the Studienkolleg at that specific university, but typically because the courses are going to be conducted mostly, if not all, in German, you do need to have at least a B1, B2 level of German.
Thank you. And oh yeah, there's a follow-up question. How recent does the B1 certificate have to be?
They may not necessarily require that you provide proof of your level. I think typically they'll test you before you enter the Studienkolleg, and you'll have to, that's where you prove your level essentially. So there isn't necessarily a time requirement on providing that certificate, but you have to be at that level or else you won't be able to keep up with the courses.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask a question because in the presentation before you, we heard about the kind of the visa requirements for the Cultural Vistas programs. And could you explain a little bit what kind of visa requirements you have? Do applicants have to be US or Canadian citizens to apply for DAAD scholarships, or what are the requirements here?
So actually that's a very good question. Thank you. You just have to be studying or affiliated with a university in the United States or Canada in order to qualify for our programs. So we do not have a citizenship requirement. International students or international researchers or faculty members are welcome to apply as long as they meet all of our other requirements. So for example, let's say for our study scholarship for a graduate degree program in Germany, if a student is from anywhere in the world really and is completing their undergraduate degree fully at a U.S. university, they will be qualified for our study scholarship.
Okay, thank you. I'm waiting for Frau Kügle to, I think, write another question. Other than that, thank you so much for you first. We're going to wait for that question, but perfect. There's one more from one of Ms. Kügle's students. Is there a full undergraduate scholarship as well?
So unfortunately, there is not a full undergraduate scholarship because German universities typically are tuition free. That's essentially one of the main reasons that we do not have a full undergraduate scholarship, just because the costs tend to be quite a bit lower in comparison to the US already. That's essentially why we don't have a full undergraduate scholarship program. We do have other opportunities for U.S. students who would like to have an experience in Germany throughout their undergraduate degree, but again, we don't have a full undergraduate scholarship.
Okay, thank you so much for answering those questions. And again, there will be opportunities to follow up, I think, with further questions. There was one more question from Kirsten, but I think we have to move on to the panel. Maybe Jessica, could you answer this real quick, or maybe contact Kirsten afterwards to answer?
Essentially,
okay.
if you attend the Studienkolleg and pass the test at the end, you will be granted admission to that German university. So if you're successful in the Studienkolleg, then yes, it affects your admission.
Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that question real quick. And thank you for that presentation, and I believe we will see you later.
Yeah.